Good morning, good afternoon, or good night from whenever and wherever you are watching us. I am Cameron Scandal, that is Steven Treffler, and we are The Sound. Thank you so much for joining us here today, folks. It is Thursday, June 6th of this recording. You're watching it, hopefully June 7th, the day it comes out. It is a cloudy and humid day here in South Central Pennsylvania. Could be a lot better out, but you know what? It's the summertime. People are starting to go out, enjoy themselves. The NBA Finals are here. It's a good time. Good time to be a sports fan. We got a good show for you today, but before we get into that, quick thing to mention. I haven't done one of these in a long time. I want to talk to you real quick about a conversation I had at work today with one of the anchors. We were talking about donuts.
Okay.
And we were discussing like go-to donuts, or if you like a variety, or just going with what you know.
Okay.
And we were talking about Dunkin' Donuts specifically. And the anchor, Alex, said that the blueberry glazed was like the last one he would ever pick, or the last one anyone picks, like in a variety box. And I had to like stop what I was doing and turn and face him and be like, what are we talking about right now? He was adamant that nobody eats the blueberry donut. It's like, even out of all the other glazed varieties of donuts, it is like the lowest tier. Donuts to me seem like a breakfast-y kind of food.
Yes.
And blueberry donuts and a coffee, like that's a good thing.
Top tier.
That is a choice breakfast option. And he was just dismissing it like it was for plebeians.
Your coworker is misinformed and uncultured.
Yeah.
I am appalled at that take by your coworker.
Yeah.
Blueberry donuts. When you think of breakfast, like top tier breakfast combinations, coffee and a blueberry donut is right there with like Michael and LeBron. I mean,
that's great.
We're talking a top 5 breakfast experience.
Alex Cawley is just blatantly wrong. The Sound has pointed it so, and so it shall be. And that was our singular thing to mention. We are now going to get into the first topic of the day. As mentioned earlier, as of this recording, it is June 6th, the day of the NBA Finals Game 1. Steve and I were discussing in our pre-production meeting different angles we could take with this story since the game has not happened yet. And question we asked ourselves is, where does this playoff run for Luka rank historically amongst other individual playoff runs by other great players, assuming Luka will win the finals? So we're taking this in the context of he's had his playoff run, wins the chip. Where does that rank amongst other all-time greats? Steve, this was your pitch in the meeting, so you can go first. Where does this playoff run rank all time for Luka Doncic and other stars?
So for me personally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a couple of stats that Luka's had just for this playoff run alone. And then at the very end, I'll give what my answer is as to where I feel like this ranks.
Okay.
So currently in these playoffs, Luka is averaging 29, 9, and 9 on 43% field goal percentage and 34% from three. Luka currently leads the 2024 playoffs in points, rebounds, assists, steals, three-pointers made, field goals made, free throws, and minutes, which only LeBron James has ever done before. He is fourth ever to have amassed 450 points, 150 rebound. 450 points, 150 rebounds, 150 assists. And Jokic did it once. Larry Bird did it once. LeBron did it an incredible 6 times. And now Luka's trying to add himself to that list. He's the second player ever to go to the finals with 450 points and 150 assists. LeBron James is the only other person to do that. He's the only player to ever have 450 points, 150 rebounds, 150 assists, and 50 three-pointers made. And so far in these playoffs, he is third most triple-doubles in a single playoff run behind Wilt and Jokic, and still has the finals series to go where he can add to that. He needs one more to pass Wilt for most in a single playoff run all time. Luka's sheer dominance is not only just on the court, one, not having any other all-stars on his team, not having any all-NBA players on his team. Yeah, he's got Kyrie Irving, but he's still single-handedly willing his team to the finals through what most people have said is the strongest conference in the NBA in the West right now. And he's doing all of this at 24 years old. But when you look at the team that he's doing this with and taking them where he's taking them, and then you think the Celtics are the clear betting favorite. They're minus 225 as of this morning. So if Luka goes through this team, assuming that he wins the finals, through a team who most people have said that they're picking to win the finals before the season even started. Many people said the Celtics were the favorites to win after the team they've compiled. And if Luka were to find a way to will this team to win the championship, it would be hard to say that he's not one of the greatest playoff runs ever. So my top 10 playoff runs are this. Number 1, MJ in 91. Number 2, Tim Duncan in 2003. Number 3, LeBron in 2013. Number 4, Shaquille O'Neal in 2001. Number 5, Michael Jordan in 93. Number 6, LeBron in 2016. Number 7 is Hakeem in 94. Number 8 is Dwayne Wade in 2006. Number 9 is Larry Bird in 84. And number 10 would be Luka Doncic this season for me, just based on his individual performance and willing his team to the finals.
I agree that this finals and playoff run does have enormous historical implications for Luka Doncic. I feel like this matters more for Luka in the micro than the macro, in a sense of he wins this finals. Is he cemented as the best player in the league? Does he get a head start for MVP next season? Where does that, boost him in ranks amongst other, all-time guys? Are there new conversations now? In the specific argument of how great is this individual run, the numbers have been crazy. He's doing unprecedented things, but the context and the narrative and the what the run and finals is worth, I don't think is there. What Luka has done this season by himself has been great. Round 1, playing against the Clippers team with no Kawhi, that we went on record on the show when the Harden trade happened. We were like, it's a weird put together team, one ball, how's it going to work, all that stuff. So we didn't believe him from the start. They beat them. Round 2, they played the Thunder, who are the youngest team that make the playoffs. They went to 7 with the Pelicans, and just had no real direction or sense of where to go in those playoffs. Then they played the Timberwolves, who I at least feel overachieved in these playoffs, and they did the typical Timberwolves thing of they celebrated too soon.
Right.
And look where it got them. So just some of the other runs, some of which you mentioned that I also have, that I think just had more of a, like I said, historical implication. So Jordan 91 is, I think, probably is his best individual run. That's his first championship. He beats the Ewing Knicks. He beats a great Sixers team. And most importantly, he beats a bad boy Pistons team, which had his number. And then he goes on to beat Magic and the Lakers in the NBA Finals. LeBron 2016, very obvious, I think, why that was great. The 3-1 deficit, bringing it back to Cleveland. I don't think that needs any further explanation. You said Hakeem in 94. I got Hakeem in 95. That was his second ring, so he's going back-to-back. He beat a Utah team with Malone and Stockton, and MVP David Robinson with the Spurs, and then he beats Shaq and Penny in Orlando, which people thought they were ready to take the league by storm and be the next big thing, right? I think Dirk in 2011 has an argument because you're saying about how Luka has nobody else. I think Dirk arguably had even less, and once again, played, I think, harder opponents and had a bigger payout when it came to playing in the NBA Finals. Kawhi in 2019, again, arguable, maybe bringing Toronto their first championship, his first ring, and kind of leading a team on his own of sorts. Plays against the Sixers, which had the best starting 5 in the league that year, beating a prime Giannis. and then taking down a Golden State team. Now they were hobbled, but still beating the Golden State Warriors in their heyday of sorts. Tim Duncan in 2003, beating the back-to-back-to-back LA Lakers with Shaq and Kobe, was the MVP that year. Tim Duncan's immediate emergence into superstardom of sorts. You had mentioned Wade in 06, down 0-2 in the finals, averaged 35 a game in that series. And all of those just have more of a historical story narrative presence that when we're talking about where do these things rank, I think matter. It's not to take away from Luka in a sense of he's not doing historical things. I just don't know if it's up to par with what other people have done in their playoff runs.
First off, that was great because I really appreciated how you kind of showed that it's not so much that what he's doing isn't great, but it's more about that it's the emphasis behind the storyline behind these finals. I actually agree with you on that. I think that there really isn't a storyline behind what he's doing, but I do think that, predicated, assuming that he's winning the finals this year, we will talk about this run in 10, 15, 20 years. This will be something that people remember because I think that the trajectory and star power that Luka has at this young age is what tells that story for him. Where he doesn't have the, oh, well, I'm down, 0-2, maybe he has that. Maybe something happens in this final series that elevates this run with some sort of, maybe they go down 0-2 and he comes firing back and they win the next 4. Maybe they go down 3 and he does something nobody's ever done. So it's one of those things where there's still more to the story to add, but so far what he's done, I think this is a historical run. Like, let me ask you this. Could he do anything? Could anything happen in this final 7-game series that could elevate him into the status of those other guys? Has he done enough so far in these playoffs to have this be a historical run? And then could he do, like, obviously something crazy could happen, but is he in the, do you believe that he's in the realm of those other guys right now?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
I think for me to even consider it, he's got to average 30 plus and either have a crazy comeback or was like sheer dominance from start to finish. Like the Celtics historically, by the numbers and metrics and analytics, are one of the best teams in NBA history right now.
Correct.
But no one actually believes that. Not like if we're not going to look back and say, man, that 24 Celtics team was one of the best Boston teams ever.
That's fair.
I think it's the same thing with Luka, where it's like, man, he's having a great numerical run, but what does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? Now, I do think the strongest point is going to be this moment is when Luka solidified himself as the guy, as the best player in the league, as taking that next step. So if he wins, it could be remembered as the start.
The emergence.
But I don't think it will be like, man, remember that 2024 finals? That was like, I don't think it'll have that kind of aspect to it, which again, I think diminishes the value of it.
Okay. No, that's fair. I appreciate that take.
Moving on to our next topic, something that was a popular source of debate for quite some time. June 1st, there was a Chicago and Indiana game in the WNBA that saw Chennedy Carter having a non-basketball foul on Caitlin Clark, which was then later ruled to be a flagrant 1. And it brought a lot of discussion of what does the Caitlin Clark hate mean? Is it warranted? Is it unnecessary? Is it nothing, something, all that stuff. So it began this discourse of what's going on with Caitlin Clark and her popularity. So Steve, the question that I will ask you is the Caitlin Clark hate something or nothing?
Whenever there's a great rookie that comes into their respective league, whether it's the NHL, MLB, NBA, WNBA, NFL, there's always going to be kind of a welcome to the league moment. The veterans thinking, oh, this is some hot shot coming out of college or coming out of, wherever they're coming from into the league. They've done super well. There's all this hype about them. There's all of this stardom over them. And there's always going to be those guys that want to give them that welcome to the league moment. And I think that's what this was. Was it a basketball play? No. Was it aggressive? Yes. But I don't think that Chennedy Carter woke up on Saturday morning and decided that she wanted to go wreck Caitlin Clark. You have a young woman who has battled through her career. You know, she came into the WNBA, had to leave to go to Europe because she got cut, came back, and now she's trying to fight for her spot in the league. And she's always had this tenacity to her. I did a little bit of research. She's been suspended before for aggressive plays, but they were very similar in this. To me, this isn't a Draymond Green-esque, I'm going to run up behind Rudy Gobert and put him in a chokehold, or I'm going to throw my elbow behind me at Yusuf Nurkic, which all of those incidences, it looked as if there was premeditation behind those. To me, she is trying to bring her team back in a very closely contested game, which if you watch the entire game, Caitlin Clark was doing some fairly aggressive and annoying things as well on defense. So there was a lot more buildup to this than just that one moment, that one singular moment. She just made a tough contested layup on her, and then she just had a lapse in judgment moment. I don't think it was directed at Caitlin Clark for me. So to me, this was more about the media running with the biggest thing in women's basketball possibly ever, and just trying to find a story where there isn't one.
I do think the initial reaction from everybody, myself included, was over the top of Carter is headhunting, or it was this super aggressive, like you said. It was not like a Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert, Nurkic, type of play, nothing like that.
Correct.
But people are ignoring the intent for the actual action. A lot of WNBA players feel as if they've been fighting the good fight for so long, and now Caitlin Clark can come in and make a few threes, and now she's the face of the league. Well, I got news for you. That's just how it is. You know why we're talking about this story? Because Caitlin Clark was involved. If she had shoved Kelsey Plum, nobody cares. If it's Cameron Brink, nobody cares. It's because of Caitlin Clark and the fact that she did it because it's Caitlin Clark. That is the point. It's not the point of, a basketball player got shoved in a basketball game. It's a physical sport. Things happen. I'm totally cool with that. I played basketball. I know that's how it works and all that stuff. But that's not what this is. Ball isn't even in play. And the fact that, and Angel Reese, I don't want to get on her too much because she wasn't even involved directly, but her cheering was a direct sign that, I'm not saying it was premeditated, but that's what it was about. I don't think she's clapping if she does that on another random Fever player. There's an aspect, specifically Angel Reese, who had mentioned post-game, it's not just Caitlin Clark, it's me too, plus all these other people, it's not one person, all that stuff. What WNBA player has a $20 million shoe deal? I'm pretty sure it's Caitlin Clark. Do you know why Nike pays her $20 million to wear her shoes? Because people are looking at her. It is just sometimes, hey, people look at you. You're in the media. You're in the spotlight. You're a hot thing. Here's all the money so you can represent our brand. And the WNBA and women's sports as a whole should look at it like that. We are giving this player the attention because we want our image and our likeness and stuff out there. And she's providing it. This right here, we would never be having a WNBA story if this had not been happening. Heavy lies the crown of popularity and being at the forefront in the face of the league. But my biggest point is, again, I think people are ignoring too much of the intent and just focusing on what actually happened, when that's not the point of why we're talking about this.
I like most the point where you said that we wouldn't even be having this conversation if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark. I can't tell you the last time that I have heard the WNBA being talked about on almost every national sports show. I can't remember a time where I'd scroll through my social media and there are literally people talking about WNBA attendance, people talking about betting on the WNBA. Like, she has brought your sport, your league, to the forefront. She has brought it to the global attention. As I've said, I don't think that this was so much about who Caitlin Clark is individually, but I will go in on Angel Reese for a second because she annoys me. And what annoys me about her is the fact that she is so okay with her teammates. And I do think that Angel Reese is somebody who would intentionally go after Caitlin Clark just because of their rift. So I think that anytime anybody goes after her, there is definitely going to be, elation from Angel Reese. And having to put yourself in the category with your own words is just kind of mind-boggling to me. Like, oh, well, we're not just watching the WNBA because of Caitlin Clark. They're watching because of me too. Well, the fact that you had to say that elevates Caitlin Clark's point.
So Angel Reese can have a problem with Chennedy Carter, Caitlin Clark, and so can Chennedy Carter. The whole WNBA can have an issue with Caitlin Clark. That's fine. But realize that when you bring those negative emotions into the real world,
yep,
you're going to be judged for that. Like I said, if this was a Caitlin Clark has the ball there and she's bodying her up, like get into her, like I would have this. It'd be nothing. It'd be a non-story. Right. But the fact that she called her, the B word before doing it, and then walked up and clearly just does it to do it to her because of what Caitlin Clark is right now representing. And Angel Reese even alluded to, like, if I have to be the villain, I'll be the villain. That, to me, I don't think because I just now thought of this. Do you remember when a little bit before the WNBA draft, and like the AI images of her came out and she was all upset that like she was being sexualized and people were saying all these things to her. And now all of a sudden you're like, yo, hate me. That's what I want to do. That's such a cop out for I can't be the person who I want to be, and that's Caitlin Clark.
Exactly.
Moving on to our third and final topic of the day, doing something we did last year, worked out pretty well for us. We're going to predict our two favorite teams' NFL schedules. Mine being the Philadelphia Eagles, Steve being the Miami Dolphins. I don't remember how accurate you were, Steve. I said 12-5, which ended up being
like 11-6.
I think the Eagles ended up being 10-7. So I was like kind of close. What did the Dolphins finish last year? I don't remember.
I think they finished 11-6.
Did they?
Yeah, I think. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm sure editing me will check and throw up if that's right or not. But yeah, so we're gonna do that again. We're gonna start off with Philadelphia. Go Birds. Philadelphia Eagles. 2024 schedule. Game 1 in Brazil against the Green Bay Packers. Packers to me are right now, I am not buying a lot of stock in them going into next season. I know a lot of people are. They're a buzz team. A lot of buzzwords going on with the Packers right now. I think they're going to come out with a nice little start, kind of buy into that hype, and then slowly fall off. Eagles kind of going the opposite way. So I got to start off with a loss. Playing in the Falcons and the Saints, not too worried about either one of them. I know the Falcons had a whole bunch of changes. Who cares? The Saints are the Saints. Then we got the Bucs at Tampa Bay. Beat us last year in the playoffs. I think we're going to go into that either too confident or too chill, or Tampa Bay is going to feel like they have our number. I think they're going to get us once again. Just a gut feeling I have. But then we have our bye week. We then go against Cleveland and New York. I got a win against both of those teams. Once again, not too worried about either one of them. The Giants are going to be terrible. We'll see if the Browns can stay healthy for a whole season. Joey B and the Bengals, I think they're going to have a very, very, very strong season next year. A good comeback season. Got us losing there. 3-game win streak coming up next. Jacksonville, Dallas, Washington. 3 straight. I think Dallas and Philly specifically, home field does not matter just because of how intense the rivalry is. I think both teams are going to tune out what's going on around them. The Rams, I got us taking an L there. They were good and they were mediocre. And I think this season they're going to finally piece it all together. We'll see if Matt Stafford can piece together a whole healthy, strong, healthy season for the Rams. Ravens, Panthers, Steelers. Once again, all W's. I went back and forth with the Ravens. I think they're going to have not a down year, but just not as good as they were, last season when they had Super Bowl aspirations. Panthers, Steelers, no problem. Who cares? Commanders, I got us losing that last game. Or I'm sorry, I was winning that last game, losing then to the Cowboys, and finally ending with a loss at home to the Giants because I assume we'll be geared up for playoff, maybe sitting people, who knows. But 11-6 is what I got Philly going next season. The big question for Philadelphia is, which was the fraudulent season, the Super Bowl run or last year? I'm going with last year, so I think they'll be a tick better, and that's what I got.
I don't think you're going to lose to the Cowboys this year, even though historically that happens. I don't think you're going to. Other than that, I had the Eagles going 12-5. You and me had almost exact numbers there. But yeah, no, everyone knows here that the Birds are my second favorite team. So, I'm always going to appreciate a good Birds season. So
Go Birds.
Yeah, go Birds. But anyways, now on to the real team.
Oh, okay.
Fins up, baby. The Dolphins this year for me are a team that it's kind of a now or never situation for me right now. You have a quarterback in Tua who he needs to get the job done. We need to get out of the first round. So without further ado, let's get into what I think the Dolphins season is going to look like. So game 1, we're at home versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I am not a big believer in the Jags. I don't think they're going to be any better than they were last year this year. I think that we beat the Jaguars pretty handily at home, first game of the season. Second game, home versus the Bills. The Bills have lost some important pieces on their offense. I think that the Bills are not going to be as good this year as they were last year. I have us beating the Bills at home this year. We usually play the Bills pretty well in Miami, so I think that's going to be a W for us. Then we go at the Seahawks. I don't have much faith in the Seahawks, never really have, ever since Russell Wilson and that defense no longer exists. So moving on to week 4, we have the Titans at home. The Titans lost Derrick Henry. They're probably going to start Will Levis as their quarterback. I don't have much faith in the Titans. I think we win. So right there, we're 4-0 through week 4. Week 5, we go up to Foxborough, face the Patriots. I don't think the Patriots are going to be very good this year. I think they're still rebuilding. I think that's a W for us. So 5-0 there. Heading into the bye week in week 6, I say we're 5-0. So heading into week 7, we are in Indianapolis. I think that we win that game. I still think Indianapolis is too young. I think the emergence of, I think Anthony Richardson has a lot of questions to answer after last season. So, getting hurt. So I think we win there. I have us home versus the Cardinals. I think we win that game. I'm just not a big believer in the Cardinals. I don't think they have enough weapons at their disposal to beat the Dolphins and to keep up with us offensively. And I just don't believe in their defense very much. So we are at the Bills. So I think that we lose that game. We usually don't play very well in Buffalo, and the Bills Mafia usually gets that stadium rocking. So I think that's our first loss of the season there. We are at the Rams. I think we beat them. I think losing Aaron Donald, their defense takes a significant downward trajectory. And I think that on offense, where they can keep up with us, I just think our defense, when we got into the meat of our season last year, we had already lost our best edge rusher to injury. We were already down a cornerback. And we had a lot of injuries all over the defense. So I think we can keep up with them. I think we knock the Rams off to go to 8-1. And then we have the Raiders at home. I don't think the Raiders are going to be very good this year. I think we take that win. Then we have home versus the Patriots. The Patriots don't play well historically in Miami. I have us winning that game as well. Then we have week 13 in Green Bay. Once again, I'm just not a big believer in Green Bay. I think they had a great season last year. They had a good Cinderella-esque run, beating the Cowboys in the first round of the playoffs, but I think we win that game. And then we enter our 3-game stretch of losses. So we are home versus the Jets. I think we split that. I think that Aaron Rodgers finds a way down the stretch to get the Jets some wins with his experience. I think the Jets actually beat us that game. And then we are at the Texans. I think we lose that game. I think CJ Stroud's the real deal. I'm bought in on him. I think that the Texans are the real deal. I think this is the emergence of their time in the AFC. I think they're going to be pretty good. So, and then we are home versus the Niners. Niners are Niners. I think they beat us pretty handily in that game. Their defense is top tier. Then we are at the Browns, which I think we beat them. I'm not very big on the Browns this year. We're not sure what Nick Chubb is going to come back looking like. And then finally, week 18, I think we beat the Jets in the Meadowlands. So I think we beat the Jets that game to bring our grand total to 13-4 on the season. I think this is going to be a good season for the Dolphins, and I think we're actually going to be able to contend pretty well in the AFC. But it's all going to come down to what happens in the playoffs.
Was there a move in the offseason or something that you heard or saw that you think that Miami is going to make this big leap, or is it just kind of like a gut feeling you have?
I think it's really just Miami needs to stay healthy because we had a lot of injuries on our defense last year. We limped a makeshift defense into the playoffs to play the Chiefs in the first round, and we still made it slightly competitive. Yeah. So, I think that with a better if we can keep our defense healthy, that's really what it's going to come down to, because offensively, the Dolphins have shown that they can put up points on teams. Their speed, they've locked in Jalen Waddle, they've locked in Tyreek Hill. We have him coming back. I just think that this is the year. It's a do or die year for Mike McDaniels and Tua Tagovailoa.
And that's what we got for you. I got the Eagles going 11-6. Steve with the Dolphins going 13-4. Two pretty good seasons, two playoff-bound teams. We'll see how it works out. What do you guys think about our predictions? What do you guys think about some of the games that we called? We had some quarterback takes in as well. Let us know your thoughts. And if we should do more team schedules, if this was something you guys like, maybe we'll venture to other teams. But yeah, hope you like this. And that's going to do it for us today. Pretty good show for you. A lot of good topics, a lot of good conversation. Hope you enjoyed watching and listening to us today. And a big milestone reached on Sunday, this past Sunday, June 2nd. It has been 1 year since our first video. It's been 1 year of you, the people, listening to the sound, being well informed, taking in that cogent and intelligent sports analysis. This has been a great ride for us. We are happy to have you along the way from then and until we are done, which will be maybe never. The sound is immortal. It will never be quiet. It will never be done. Always remember, folks, if you are ever in need of intelligent and cogent sports analysis, just listen to the sound. We will always have you covered. Thank you so much for watching and listening to us today. Hope you have a great rest of your day or night. Stay safe. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Listen to the sound. I listen to the sound.